Have you ever noticed this? It really looks like Mario should be killed here, but somehow he's making it through unscathed. So what's going on here? Often in well-designed video games, the hitboxes of hazards are a lot smaller than they appear. It can be really frustrating playing a video game and getting killed by something that looks like it didn't touch you. And the thing is, if your hitboxes are the correct size, it can look like you didn't touch an object, when in fact a few pixels might have overlapped for a single frame. So the best way to avoid this is to make sure that the hit detection only goes off when there is very clear visible overlap. And you do that by making sure the hitboxes of hazards are a lot smaller than they appear. Conversely, the opposite is usually true for things you want the player to collect like coins or pickups. The hitboxes are usually slightly larger than they appear. I think the best way to sum up this principle is always err on the side of the player. And aside from just changing the size of some hitboxes, there's a lot of ways I implement this principle in later Skater. Like for example the spike traps in my Egyptian tomb level. If you jump just before the spikes go off, you're going to be safe, even if your colliders overlap a little. Because I've implemented a condition there, to ignore the collision if the player is moving up. I also made it so that when jumping on an enemy's head, the collision check is quite generous on what counts as on top of the enemy. And when killing an enemy by sliding into them, there's a little bit of a lock-on effect that corrects the direction the player is sliding in. And I implemented those features because a lot of players were having trouble killing enemies and getting frustrated by it. There's another side one where if the bottom of a player's slider slightly misses the top of a platform, I give the player just a little extra height to help them clear the ledge. And just the other day, I implemented a feature where if the player is trying to air slide through a gap and they're slightly off, their position will be corrected. I've also made it so the bombs from these bomb-throwing enemies will have their collision disabled for like a fraction of a second after they've been thrown. Those last two aren't available in the demo at the moment, but I should have an update of the demo coming around pretty soon. And all of this goes a long way in making the game feel a lot smoother to play. And you might worry that this makes the game too easy, but I don't think that's really accurate, because adding these sort of features allows me to add difficult design elements without them feeling frustrating. And oftentimes, these sorts of features are the difference between a game that feels tough but fair versus tough and kind of a pain. Another really well-known example of this is Coyote Time. In most platformers, for like a fraction of a second after you leave a platform, you won't be affected by gravity and you'll still be able to jump. And we refer to this as Coyote Time because that's how physics works for Wile E. Coyote. And you'll see these sorts of features implemented in all kinds of games. If you can think of any good examples, let me know in the comments. But I digress. At the end of the day, the most important takeaway from this video was simple. Wishlist later Skater on Steam.